Welcome to the Natural Selection Podcast. As you can see, I don't really have a schedule. When someone says something stupid, I make a show about it. Today's topic, and a line of bullshit that every liberal I've talked to thus far has said to me: Bush was worse than Obama. Bullshit. True, Bush is no Ronald Reagan, and Obama is no Jimmy Carter. Worst president, and I'll be nice here, since World War II. Now, to show what line of bullshit that is, let's get down to brass tacks.
President Obama is the worst president since World War II. That is according to a new Quinnipiac University poll. 33% of those polled say President Obama is the worst. George W. Bush came in right behind him. 13% of people say Richard Nixon. 8% say it was Jimmy Carter. According to the poll, Ronald Reagan is the best president since World War II, followed by Bill Clinton and John F. Kennedy. And by the way, nearly half of those surveyed say the country would be better off if Mitt Romney had been elected president in 2008.
Let's look at foreign policy first. On foreign policy, he used to point to the withdrawal from Iraq a success. But in fact, Iraq is ending up to be twice the son of hell as it was before we went to war with them. Let's look at 12 foreign policy disasters of this administration. 1. The Afghan War. Over 74% of the 2,361 U.S. casualties in the ongoing 11-year war have come on Obama's watch, and I personally can vouch for why. The dumbest rules of engagement and strategy in the fucking world. Whoever voted for this asshole needs to go to every VA hospital and military cemetery and beg forgiveness. The most sanctimonious and pious philosopher of war is a liberal who's never seen one. 2. Syrian genocide. Despite drawing a red line over the alleged use of WMDs by Syrian strongman Bashar Assad, whom Hillary Clinton once called a reformer, the Obama administration has mainly taken a reactive wait-and-see approach on the inhumane atrocities being carried out there. 3. Al-Qaeda on the rise. President Obama ordered the killing of Osama bin Laden, which was carried out by Navy SEALs while he played cards with assistant Reggie Love. Shortly after pronouncing Al-Qaeda on the run during his re-election campaign, the terrorist group launched operations across the Middle East. 4. Russian reset implodes. After Hillary Clinton presented Putin with a mistranslated reset button, which actually said overload, the Russians have gotten their way in ABM defense in Europe, drilling in the Arctic, and U.S. nuclear disarmament. Not to mention the Crimea. In return, the Russians have aided the Iranians' nuclear program, which they are currently selling them missiles again, opposed U.S. sanction in Syria, and refused to turn over NSA whistleblower Edward Snowden. 5. NSA spy program damages foreign relations. The wide-ranging and lawless NSA surveillance program has damaged relations with European allies. 6. Sequester and defense cuts Obama proposed. The sequester and defense cuts that President Obama proposed are wreaking havoc on the defense budget, since they are being carried out in an arbitrary way. 7. Benghazi and 9/11 Muslim world protests. On 9/11 in 2012, the Muslim world exploded with protests at U.S. embassies. Ambassador Chris Stevens and 3 other servicemen in Benghazi, Libya, were killed by terrorists during an 8-hour siege. No military rescue operation was ever launched. Obama and Hillary were noticeably absent, and the multiple stand-down orders issued are yet to be sourced. The administration lied by claiming an offensive YouTube video caused a non-existent protest at Benghazi. 8. Egyptian turmoil and Arab Spring fallout. Both Hillary Clinton and the Obama administration praised the Democratic Arab Spring movement. Obama backed the removal of former Egyptian President and contingent U.S. ally Mubarak, leading to the rise of the Muslim Brotherhood-backed Morsi, who was recently removed in a coup for rights abuses. The AP has criticized Obama for miscalculating the fallout of the Arab Spring. 9. Killing of innocent civilians with drones. Lied about closing of Gitmo. Under the Obama presidency, the U.S. has launched hundreds of drone strikes abroad, more than triple than those carried out under the Bush administration. There are widespread reports, including 3 issued by the UN, of numerous civilians killed. Meanwhile, Obama has failed on his promise to close Guantanamo Bay detention facility, regardless of the arguments about holding enemy combatants in a war which has not been declared by Congress. 10. Al-Qaeda terrorists break out of Abu Ghraib. Several hundred prisoners at the Abu Ghraib prison in Iraq escaped after a late-night militant assault on the facility. The escaped inmates, at least 500 of them in all, include many top Al-Qaeda officials. Unsurprisingly, the New York Times didn't run 40 straight days of headlines about the breakout at the infamous prison. 11. Iran's nuclear program continues. The Iranian regime continued to develop nuclear weapons technology, which is extremely dangerous considering the nature of that terrorism-sponsoring regime. Now we have a potential deal where Iran gets to inspect, wait for it, themselves. 12. Obama absent during Iranian protests. During the Iranians' protests for fair elections in 2009, President Obama said nothing about it publicly for days and did nothing of consequence to support the Iranian people. An opportunity to promote viable democratic accountability in a terrorist exporting state ruled by mullahs was wasted. Obama's foreign policy has failed to capitalize on opportunities to better the world, meanwhile fostering instability through its reactive decision-making and projection of weakness. Let's not forget the JV team. We had Abu Bakr Baghdadi in U.S. custody. Could have thrown his ass in Gitmo and forgot about him. What did we do? We let him go 5 years ago. Who is Abu Bakr Baghdadi? He's the head of ISIS or ISIL, whatever you want to call them. Baghdadi was connected to the intimidation, torture, and murder of local civilians in Haim, according to a 2005 U.S. intelligence report. Since taking over huge areas of Iraq in June, ISIS has engaged in an inhumane campaign to create an Islamic caliphate. Their less brutal acts include desecrating graves of infidels, destroying Jonah's tomb, abducting nuns and children, and harassing those of other religions. ISIS acts of unmatched evil include burying women and children alive, multiple beheadings, tying a woman to 2 different cars and splitting her in 2, crucifixion, and rape. The White House says Obama brings tranquility to the global community. I don't know what they're smoking, but I want some. Must be some good shit. Now the economy, if I can do it with a straight face. Obama is the only president in history to oversee 54 consecutive months of unemployment above 7.5%. Obama promised to not only restore the economy to where it was under Bush, but grow it. So far, Obama has failed to even perform as well as Bush. The civilian labor force participation rate, the ratio between those 16 and over in the labor force against the national population of those 16 and over, is an important measure of economic health. After puttering along during the Bush administration, including through the Bush years of the recession, under Obama it has plunged sharply. In other words, fewer people are working or looking for work. Let's look at black unemployment, shall we? No one has suffered more economically under Obama than black Americans. Obama's election and re-election has meant crippling poverty for the black community. Let's compare Obama's performance to Bush's. The highest monthly unemployment rate ever for blacks under Bush was 12.1%. Obama's lowest rate was 12.7%. He has never performed as well as Bush's worst black unemployment rate. Bush's average black unemployment rate was 9.7% and an overall national average of 5.2%, a 4.5% gap.
Today, after 4 years of economic growth, corporate profits and stock prices have rarely been higher, and those at the top have never done better. But average wages have barely budged. Inequality has deepened. Upward mobility has stalled. The cold hard fact is that even in the midst of recovery, too many Americans are working more than ever just to get by, let alone to get ahead. And too many still aren't working at all. So our job is to reverse these trends. It won't happen right away, and we won't agree on everything. But what I offer tonight is a set of concrete, practical proposals to speed up growth, strengthen the middle class, and build new ladders of opportunity into the middle class.
You just heard President Obama's State of the Union. Now I'm about to give you the state of Chicago and the state of the urban community.
What it did was solidify our expectation, which is very low, of this president because of his actions, and the fact that what he did was confirm the lack of involvement, the lack of concern for our community. He doesn't care.
He's been more hurtful to the black race than he has been helpful. You know, for a lot of symbolic reasons, a lot of people accept that, or should I say, most well-to-do blacks or those who think they're better off, they accept that for symbolic reasons. But those of us at the bottom of the ladder, we don't accept that.
Mr. President, you know, we probably be better off with you cutting your presidency off right now. Just quit. Because if this is what you call helping us, then just stop helping us.
This State of the Union was the same old, same old. A bunch of talk and rhetoric to give faith to a dying economy in America. And the reason why our economy is dying, because the president approach, as always, is to place blame on the corporate world. Is to place blame on the rich. The blame is equal. It's not the 1% problem. It's not a 99% problem. It is an American problem. And the problem is patronage, nepotism, and cronyism.
If you turn around and say he's going to sign an executive order to create minimum wage for federal services only. But what about the rest of us who don't have jobs at all? He hasn't addressed that issue. How is he going to create jobs for us? How can they create jobs for us if they don't bring us into the market? How can they create jobs for us if we're not at the table with them?
So the president, to look at what this president just did, is really a shame, because he didn't address any or none of the problems in our community. And that State of the Union was not a State of the Union. It was a state of the position on how the same old people is going to continue to get the same old resources. And I'm talking about these politically connected non-for-profits, the unions who has forced their conversations into the State of the Union. I support a higher wage, but I know with the higher wage come higher prices.
I have a graduate degree. I've been unemployed for 4 years. What's going to happen if you raise the minimum wage? How is it going to affect me? How am I going to get a job out of it?
Increasing the minimum wage is not going to put unemployed people to work. It's not going to fix the economy. Creating industries and businesses in America which will create jobs is going to help our economy rebound.
I didn't vote for him because I knew he had done nothing as state senator, to then go to become senator and then further became the United States president. He'd never done anything for the community. He didn't know the people in the community. All those things you see him they talk about in Argyle Garden, he wasn't doing that stuff for real.
He once again trumped all the problems by talking in a grandiose, general type way, generalizing all the problems, the issues, and making it just real fuzzy and real warm. We might as well just had a cup of cocoa after he got through, because we didn't get nothing out of this but another real fuzzy, warm, beautiful statement. And everybody get up that was the powers that be, get up and eat, and we all go home hungry again.
What Obama did was perpetuate a reality, perpetuate a narrative that is so far removed from what is really happening to us as poor people, as black people, and as young people.
But in Chicago, there are no Republicans, no Tea Partiers. This is one of the most democratic cities, but it's the largest city, one of the largest cities where they're starving our people out. I say to the president that you've done a grave disservice to us, and you'd be better just go ahead and step down. I mean, You can't turn this around. I mean, it's to the point to where, you know, that in which we knew from the beginning, because we're from Chicago.
It is our job to hold our government accountable to not only the words that come out of their mouth, but the funds that they release. It is our job to hold all elected officials true to the constitutional values that they say they represent.
Some require congressional action, and I am eager to work with all of you. But America does not stand still, and neither will I. So wherever and whenever I can take steps without legislation to expand opportunity for more American families, that's what I'm going to do.
Let's look at the Hispanic situation. Despite winning the Hispanic vote, Obama's liberal policies have caused widespread damage to the Hispanic community. Thanks to Obama, they continue to lag behind the national average in many economic factors. The Bureau of Labor Statistics reports the Hispanic unemployment rate for March 2013 was a pitiful 9.1%, while the national overall rate was 7.6%. This is a gap of 1.5%. The Hispanic unemployment rate hit its all-time historic low of 4.7% during Bush's last term. It is almost twice that rate under Obama. So basically, compared to Bush, Obama bit the big bazooka when it comes to being president. So suck on that, you liberal jellyfish.